Hello, grade 4. This is the part 2 of our lesson on the American people. Last time we learned that people in the United States are diverse, yet they are united by their patriotism, history, and American culture. And also we learned that Americans and their ancestors have come from over the world. Alright, so we're going to find out more as we continue the second part of lesson 1. And again, the learning objectives of this lesson. Number 1, you'll be able to recognize cultural diversity in the United States. And number 2, you'll be able to describe ideals that unite Americans. Let's recap first grade for the vocabulary words of this lesson. Number 1 is culture means the way of life of a group of people. Number 2 is patriotism or love of country. It shows loyalty of a person to his or her own nation. 3. Immigrate means to enter another country to make a new life. 4. We learn about population means the total number of people who live in a certain place. 5. 3 kinds of, by the way, these words, rural, urban, and suburban, grade 4 are kinds of community. So when you say rural means a countryside, and urban means a city, and suburb is a town or small city near a large city. All right, so let's move to our lesson for today. As I've mentioned earlier, grade 4, people in the United States are diverse or different, yet they are united by their patriotism or the way they show their love, their loyalty to their nation, and by their history and their culture. And also Americans and their ancestors have come from over the world. Where Americans live. From the previous lesson, we've learned that a large number of people immigrated in the United States. And as waves of immigrants continued grade 4 to arrive, then of course, the population of the United States started to grow. Even though they live in one country, but the kinds of places where they live have changed over time. Like example here, and by the way, let me tell you this, more than 300 people now live in the United States. This one actually is not the very recent population of the United States because as of 2020 or the start of 2020 grade 4 numbers just over 331 million people. All right, so going back here, until the late 1800s, most Americans live in rural areas or in the countryside. Many families live and work on farms, and by 1920, more Americans live in urban areas or cities than on farms. And these cities grow as businesses created more jobs. And then as cities grow, some people chose to move to suburbs or suburban or towns or small cities near a large city. And then in the 1950s, many families moved from large cities to suburbs. All right, so let's continue. On grade 4, one of the first suburban areas in the United States was Levittown, New York. Okay, look at the map here where you can find Levittown, and the other picture shows early housing development in Levittown, New York. Okay, and it was developed between 1946 to 1951. All right, and today more than 4/5 of Americans live in cities or in suburbs. And like in Levittown, grade 4, suburban areas today are usually more spread out than cities. And instead of living in tall apartment buildings, most people in suburban areas live in houses with garden or with yards. And many suburban people go to the city for work or entertainment, and city people often travel to suburbs to shop at malls. Moving to warmer climates. In recent years, many Americans have moved south and west. Okay, look at the map. You can see grade 4 that the nation's fastest population growth is happening in the south and the west. Many have moved there to enjoy the warmer climates of the states such as Florida and Arizona. And today, 3/5 of Americans live in the southern and western parts of the country. All right, so let's wrap up the lesson grade 4 before we end up this lesson. Immigration has made the United States one of the most diverse nations in the world. Today, Most Americans have different ways of life and live in different kinds of places. Yet patriotism unites them. Well done, grade 4. You completed the lesson for today. I hope you've learned something. Bye for now.